Irfan? Ayush Chauhan?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me the demand for money, the concept behind it?
No, sir, I haven't been attending classes.
Aman?
Sir,
Aman?
Aman Falor.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Tell me demand for money and types of motives of demand for money.
The demand for money, it's the money demanded by the people to hold it.
Okay, and types of different types of why you are demanding money, cash.
Transaction demand for money, speculative demand for money, and precautionary demand for money.
Okay, can you explain transaction demand for money?
So these are for various day-to-day transactions like buying grains, like for example. So for which we need to carry day-to-day transactions.
So how can you define? How can you
So
define?
maybe money which is used for a legal medium of exchange.
Legal
I'm
medium
not
of
sure.
exchange.
I'm not sure, sir, about this definition.
Why?
Sir, actually, I missed one class in between, and I just collected these notes from a friend. So I think I missed that.
I hope you will not miss in the internal exam and final exam.
No, sir, I just missed one class.
Aswin,
Yes, sir.
please explain transaction demand for money.
Sir, I think transactionary demand for money is the amount needed to cover the needs of an individual. It's the amount needed to buy goods and services.
See, the first line you said ki the money the individuals need implies so many things. Here the particular motive is to meet the day-to-day transactions. Word itself is telling you the definition, dear. The word itself is telling you the all definitions. It is the transactions demand for money. And the moment you are saying transactions, it simply implies that you are talking about the day-to-day what you are making your transactions for the payment, for the receiving. Okay. So the normal definition, very simple definition we have discussed in the last class. Okay, the transactions demand for money is the money which is demanded by the people or by the individuals to meet day-to-day transactions. Okay. Ayushi Agrawal,
Yes, sir.
tell me the rest part. Depending on what, which factor is going to affect this
Uh,
transaction demand for money?
Sir, transaction demand for money is the money demanded to meet day-to-day transactions. It is the transaction demand for money is the function of level of income.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
So if the level of income increases, the transaction demand for money. Hello, sir, am I
Okay.
audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Hello.
You are audible. Tell me.
Yeah. So if level of income increases, the transaction demand for money also increases, and if the level of income decreases, the transaction demand for money decreases. It shows the positive relation between the transaction demand for money and level of income. As we can explain it through, if the level of income increases, the level of consumption also increases. Because consumption is a function of level of income. So as if consumption increases, need more money to spend, so transaction demand for money increases.
Achha, you see, see here, suppose you are writing So the moment you are writing, you don't need to explain the consumption functions. Okay, you are just relating here the income and the demand for money, transaction demand for money. So simply you can say that the moment the level of income will go up, the level of consumption will increase, and to maintain the higher level of consumptions, we need, or the individuals need, the higher level of money. So as a result, demand for money will go up, which we are getting. There is a positive relationship between the level of income and demand for transactions, demand for money. And then you just, so meanwhile, between these 2 points, you don't need to explain everything. Yes, if you have a time and you want, then you can go ahead. Otherwise, just focus on your answer, what you are trying to write. Okay, fine. And one point you added here,
Okay, sir.
when you will read your textbook, maybe 1 line and 2 lines, or maybe in the appendix, maybe somewhere, it may be mentioned that transactions demand for money here, as when you are considering the Keynes theory. So Keynes assumed that transaction demand for money is a function of, or is depending on, the level of income. But later on, 2 other economists, the Baumels and Tobins, they also worked on that, and they found that they given their own theory. Okay, and what their theory says that in the transactions demand for money also depends on your rate of interest. Okay, rate of interest.
Interest.
Okay, so what they are saying that yes, if rate of interest will go up, the transactions demand for money will decrease, because that time people will they prefer to save more. So once you're saving more, means holding the cash to meet the transactions will decrease. So basically they are trying to say that. So but we will not discussing that model here, this theory here. Later on you will do, maybe in the referencing 1-2 lines you will get in the this semester, but in the model, or the total, I mean the in the whole model, you have to, I mean you are going to read in the class 12, sorry, in the second year, not 12, in second year macroeconomics. But I'm just informing you, clear? So transaction demand for money, you have seen that when you draw a quadrant where you are measuring along the vertical axis rate of interest, and along the horizontal axis the level of income, you are getting a transactions demand for money diagram or curve is parallel to vertical axis. So if you take like this, here, if you take here transactions demand for money that we assumed last class L1, which is the function of y, and here you take rate of interest I, so transactions demand for money will be parallel to vertical axis. That simply says that if income is, say, in the economy Y1, so transaction demand for money will be L1. That is a parallel to vertical axis. And whatever the level of rate of interest, it is not going to affect the transactions demand for money. That you have to assume here in the initial stage. Okay. So can you tell me if there is an increase in your income, then what will be happen to this transactions demand curve? Anyone? I think just a minute. Okay, she is still not coming. The whole semester, I don't think so. She came only 1, 2. If you leave 2, 3 classes, then she is not coming. Okay. Shomil Khatri. Somil Khatri.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me if there is an increase in level of income in the country, what will happen to this curve?
So
Yes.
increase in level of income, then the transaction demand for money will increase.
Increase. Then how you can represent here in this diagram?
Sir, it will be positively sloped.
But you are not taking the income along the vertical axis. You have taken the interest rate along the vertical axis. Then what will happen to this diagram?
Sir, but We will have to take income to show the relationship between income and
Suppose I'm not suppose in this analysis, because when you're going to discuss about the money market equilibrium, you have to take rate of interest along the vertical axis. Then how can you represent the change in the income and its impact on the demand for money? Sonu Kaushik? Sonu Kaushik,
Yes, sir.
tell me.
Sir, I think the curve will shift rightward.
Curve will sit rightward. Yes, you are right. Yes, dear.
Thank you,
Just
sir.
you take here this diagram. If suppose this L1 is the transactions demand for money when income is say Y1. Say Y1. If there is increase in your income, then this transactions demand for money curve will shift rightward. Maybe you can say L1 prime when level of income is Y2. If suppose income decline, then your this line will shift from L1 double prime when level of income is say, you can say Y0 or you can say Y3. Why not you can say? Yeah. So just to remember, when you are taking the rate of interest along the vertical axis and transactions demand for money along the horizontal axis, then if there is an increase in your income or increase in the income in the country, your transactions demand curve will shift rightward. And if there is a fall in level of income, your transactions demand for money will shift leftward. Okay. So these things you please remember. Now next, I'll already started discussing about the speculative demand for money. Where we are saying L2 and L2 is the function of rate of interest. And we have already discussed if there is an increase in rate of interest, then speculative demand for money will decrease. If there is a decrease in rate of interest, then L2 demand for money will go up. Okay. Is it clear? So last class I'll discuss also L2 is the L2 we are using this for representing the speculative demand for money. So L2 is the speculative demand for money, which is the function of rate of interest. And the rate of interest and speculative demand for money is inversely related. We say that if there is an increase in rate of interest, then a speculative demand for money will decrease. And if there is a fall in rate of interest, speculative demand for money will go up. What is the speculative demand for money? So in last class, we have already discussed with you. You have two options. One, you can keep your wealth in money form. And second, you have an option to keep your money or wealth into bonds. Clear? Again, I'm repeating this part and you try to get it. See, today there are so many options for investment. Individuals can put their money in different form of assets. Even you can put your money in the foreign exchange, foreign currencies. You can put your money in the real estates. You can put your money in the private equity and shares, the government bonds, even the private sector bond. So you have options. Even gold you can put in the gold. But you know, in theoretical analysis, you cannot take so many options at this point. So we are assuming that you have only one options to put your money to get some return is your bond. And bond is not only government bond, it includes all the types of equity shares, everything under the one name is the bonds. Okay. and another is the money you can put in the money. Okay, so in last class I have discussed if you put your wealth in money form. Okay, so there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages. We have seen that advantages are it is in the most liquid asset form. Okay, second, the face value of the money will remain same. Will remain same. If you put the 10,000 today, even after 10 years, it will be the 10,000s. But if you put your asset into bonds, okay, if you put your money into bonds, then there is a one positive is no, even the negative is the if you put your asset into money, the negative part is that the real value of money will decrease. And I discussed in the last class, real value means value of money. Simply you can say value of money means the purchasing power. Value of money means the how much goods and services a unit of money can buy. An unit of money can buy, and which is known as the purchasing power. So that is going to decrease. It means value of money may decrease if there is a inflation is going on, and definitely inflation will be there. Okay, so real value or value of money will decrease. This is the one of the disadvantages if you put your money into money, put your wealth or asset into the money. Number one. Second disadvantage is that the money will not earn anything for you. If you put 10,000 today in the form of cash, after 1 year or 10 years, your money will remain 10,000. It is not going to increase because money will not earn anything for you. Okay, so these are the disadvantages if you keep in money form. Bond means if you keep in the bond, so there is a advantage is that it will earn for you. There may be capital gain. Suppose you purchase today 100 rupees bond and tomorrow you are selling 120 rupees. So 20 rupees is your capital gain. So the bond price, which is known as the bond price, okay. So bond price is one of the indicator. If suppose today buying at the price of 100 rupee and tomorrow you are selling at 120, so definitely there is a capital gain of 20 rupees. But this is the positive things. Yes, if you put in bonds, it will earn for you. But on the other hand, there is a possibility of capital loss also, which is disadvantage. Suppose you purchase today at 100 rupee, but tomorrow you are selling at 80 rupees. So 20 rupees is your loss, which is capital loss. So this is the disadvantage. And next one, if you keep in bonds, you are losing the liquidity. What is the meaning of losing the liquidity? Because the moment you kept in bond, it means you lost your liquidity. Because if you want to use it, then first you have to search the buyers, then to whom you have to sell, get the money back, and then you can use it. Okay, so yes, these are the advantages in this. So what we have discussed yesterday is suppose, not yesterday, in the last class, say 50,000 rupees an individual has. Suppose out of 50,000, 30,000 he preferred to keep in cash and 20,000 in bond. This money we are talking about other than the transactions demand for money. Maybe suppose this person having the 80,000 rupees per month income, so 30,000 rupees cash they demanded to meet the transaction demand for money. So we are not discussing here. That is another part. Second part we are discussing why people hold the money. The second part is the speculative demand. They are holding for a speculative purpose. That's I define it. The speculative demand for money is the money which is demanded for a speculative purpose. For a speculative purpose is known as the speculative demand for money. Clear? So out of 50,000, suppose 20,000 is preferred to put in bond and 30,000 is still they are putting in money. So this 30,000 rupees, holding of this 30,000 rupees cash is known as the speculative demand for money. So just think, this holding of this 30,000 is basically depending on the return on that. If individual or investor, the individual will think If I can put in bond, I will get return, positive return. Then they will put this money into bonds. So holding speculative demand for money will decrease. If individual is thinking that, if I put today in bonds, then there is a possibility of capital loss. So they will not put in bonds. They will put more in cash. So cash holding for this purpose will go up. This is the very basic relationship. So basically, how much you are holding cash for this purpose is depending on your speculations. What you are expecting. What is your speculations? Okay. So, and individual to individual, speculation is different, really different. And it is the reason economy is working for that, on that. So basically, how much economy is going to hold is depending on the speculation. It is reason it is known as the speculative demand for money. Clear? It is known as the speculative demand for money. Now, here you add it. There is a one relationship, and that relationship you remember at this time. Derivation we will do later on. What is the relationship? Bond price is equal to yield divided by the rate of interest. Short form we can write bond price as a PB, yield as a YR which is given, and rate of interest is the I. This is the relationship you have to remember for this particular purpose. Yield means the time period, the total time period. If you take what is the maximum return you are getting it, that is known as the yield. Yield means return from the bonds. Simple in one line. Later we will just expand it. Yield means the return from the bond, which you say in the long term it's a given Y bar. And I is the current rate of interest, the rate of interest which is going on today, which is known as the current rate of interest. And PB is the bond price. PB is the bond price. So basically, PB bond price it will decide the behavior of individuals to hold more cash in for a speculative purpose or less cash in a speculative purpose. That's the bond will decide it. Okay. You got the relationship when I is going to increase, then a speculative demand for money will decrease. And when I decreases, then a speculative demand for money will go up. Why this relationship? So you can explain by using this concept, the relationship between the bond price, yield, and rate of interest. Okay, which is the current rate of interest. See dear, if you take the very practical one, economy, then you will get the people asking or discussing each other, okay, today rate of interest is very low. Just take the example of today's economy. Due to the monetary policy and the decision of the banks, the today's rate definitely the rate of interest is lower. And you are also knowing that nothing is in absolute terms. All are in the relative terms. So if today you are saying it's a lesser, then definitely it is a less in compared to something. Or you are saying it is a more, definitely is in the compared to something. What is that in this respect? So it is the long-term rate of interest. Means suppose in the last 4 years, 5 years or 10 years, what was the prevailing rate of interest? So that rate of interest you take as a reference. And from that rate of interest, you are comparing today's rate of interest. That is the current rate of interest. If the current rate of interest is relatively low, then you can say, yes, the rate of interest is lower. If you're thinking that no, rate of interest is relatively higher, so definitely you are telling this in reference to the prevailing rate of interest, which was maybe in the last 5 years or in the 10 years. So what was the long-term rate of interest? reference to that, you are comparing today's rate of interest. So speculation is what basically for individuals. So suppose today the rate of interest is very low. Let us consider very low. Then what the people can expect today? So they will expect if today rate of interest is going downwards, then definitely tomorrow it will go up. Or today if suppose rate of interest is higher, then people can expect that tomorrow the rate of interest will decrease. This is a very general behavior of individuals. Even someone is just expecting different from that, but majority of the people will expect the similar way. Today rate of interest is low, so tomorrow it is going up. Or suppose tomorrow the rate of interest is very high, then people will expect, tomorrow the rate of interest is going down. This expectation is always in the mind of individuals, but not in uniform way. Not in uniform way. It may differ because in economy, the different individuals have different expectations, different speculations, different behavior. Okay, so this is there. So just you think, and PB is the bond price which decide that there is a capital gain or capital loss. Capital gain or capital loss. I mean, this decide bond price. If suppose bond price today you are buying at 100 rupees any bond and tomorrow you are selling at 120, so here there is a positive 20%, 20 rupees increase. So there is a capital gain. But suppose you are buying today 100 rupees, tomorrow you are selling 80 rupees, so you are minus 20 rupees, the capital loss. This is happening. Now, if you are getting this, then you come back here. If suppose today rate of interest increases, the first case you take. Suppose rate of interest increases today. Then since yield is given, so bond price is going to be lower. Bond price is going to be lower. And once bond price decreases, then the people today or individual today, they are buying at the low price. They are buying at the low price today. Suppose they are buying at rupees 100 today, at the low price 100. But they are expecting that if today it increases, then tomorrow it is going to fall. That is the future expectations. That is the speculations of individuals. But if they're thinking tomorrow it is going to fall, then tomorrow the bond price will go up. So even today I'm buying at rupees 100, so there is a possibility, I'm not saying exactly it will happen. There is a possibility that I may sell little bit more than rupees 100 and there will be capital gain. Maybe I'm wrong because that's happened in the bond market or share market. I'm expecting there is capital gain, but finally maybe I'm getting the capital loss. But expectation there is, speculation is there. If today rate of interest increases, then people are going to buy the bond at the low price because bond price will decrease. And once they are buying at the low price, but they have the expectations that tomorrow the rate of interest is going to fall because today is the very high rate of interest. It has already increased. Tomorrow when it will fall, then bond price will just go up because there is an inverse relationship between the bond price and the rate of interest. And once bond price will increase, then today if I am buying at 100, then tomorrow I am able to sell at maybe at 105, 110, 120, but it will be more than rupees 100. And if I am able to sell at more than 100 rupee, it means there is a capital gain. And keeping in this mind, the people will prefer to hold bonds when rate of interest increases. So once you are holding more bond or you are shifting more money into bonds, so definitely this cash holding will decrease. And this cash holding is nothing as just I discussed, it is a speculative demand for money. So finally your speculative demand for money will decrease. And that is the reason that the relationship is negative there. If rate of interest increases, then speculative demand for money will decrease. If rate of interest increases, the rate of speculative demand for money will decrease. Clear? Reverse it. How can you reverse? Just take the condition. If suppose rate of interest decreases, I decreases. So the moment I is going to decrease, this I going to decrease first. Suppose this I is going to decrease first. So what will happen? So the moment I decreases, then bond price will go up. So today, if bond price has increased, then you will not prefer to buy bonds. The reason is what? The reason is you are thinking that tomorrow if I am buying at the higher price this bond, but tomorrow the rate of interest is going to increase because already the rate of interest is lower. But if tomorrow it is going to increase, then bond price will decrease. So there is a speculation. There is a speculation that if today I'm buying at the higher price, but tomorrow I'm going to sell at the low price, so there will be capital loss. And if you're expecting there is a capital loss, then you don't prefer to buy or hold bonds. You don't prefer to hold bonds. So what you will do at this moment is start selling bonds, and you prefer to keep this money into bond. The amount you invested in bond, you will sell out, and you prefer to hold this in form of cash. And once you started selling bond and keeping your asset into the money, your speculative demand for money will go up. That is the reason your second relationship is there. If rate of interest decreases, then speculative demand for money will go up. Clear? So yes, there is an inverse relationship between the speculative demand for money and rate of interest. So if you draw, I'm not taking the extreme case today right now. Okay, I'm just taking the normal case still here. Okay, so if you take interest rate along the vertical axis and speculative demand for money along the horizontal axis, say I, then yes, you can get a downward sloping curve, and which is known as the L2, which says that if rate of interest is say I1, the speculative demand for money will be L2 prime, and if it is the I2, the speculative demand for money will be L2 prime. L2 you have to write L2 double prime, you can say, because L2 is the speculative demand for money. So simply you are getting the inverse relationship. So if you can see from the diagram, if interest rate is going up, the speculative demand for money is going down, it decreases. If rate of interest decreases, then speculative demand for money will go up. So yes, this relationship is there. So remember, when you are going to write again, listen this statement carefully to all of you. When you are going to write a speculative demand for money, you have to explain first 2-3 lines what is that, then write the functional form, then you go and explain why this inverse relationship, the all explanation through the bond market, bond price. And after explaining this, then you come to the diagram. This is the complete answer you are writing about the speculative demand for money. I've not discussed till now the extreme case like the maximum rate of interest and the minimum rate of interest. Minimum rate of interest, I will that situation is known as the liquidity trap, that I will discuss tomorrow. I mean the next time, because you've given me the this one. Okay, and tomorrow today is your class or not? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, we have a GE class now. So means the
G
links have arrived.
Okay.